How you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today we're looking at The Tomb of Dracula, number 1, 20 cents. And this is weird because this is approved by the Comics Code Authority, but if we recall from one of my earlier videos, the Comics Code Authority prohibited comics from mentioning vampires. Well, Marvel had tested the water with Morbius, the living vampire. You know, he wasn't an undead true vampire. So the world didn't end, and the Comics Code Authority, I guess, relented and let them add werewolves and zombies and fun stuff like that. And so there we go. So one of the things, so Stan Lee was pushing to get a vampire comic. At this point in history, what year is this? This is 1971. So horror movies were big and stuff like that. And Stan Lee wanted to get a vampire comic. So they spitballed and they came up with Dracula for two reasons. Obviously, it's in the public domain and it's the most popular name associated with vampires. So there you go. This series lasted for 70 issues and it's Marvel's most successful series starring a villain. So there you go. Gene Colan lobbied Stan to do the artwork. He was really excited about doing the artwork about this. Unfortunately, Stan had already promised Bill Everett that he would get the regular artist gig. So Gene did something that he didn't really do. He went and he auditioned and he drew some pages, you know, just for on his own to lobby. And he modeled Dracula on Jack Palance. And the funny thing is, Jack Palance didn't play Dracula until like a couple of years after this comic came out. So Stan loved it and said, you know what, you got the gig. So there you go. All right, let's open it up now. I'm being very careful with this. This is in remarkably good condition. Never finished high school? Now you can get a diploma without going back. Okay, let's look at the indicia. I just want to make sure. Yeah, 1971, I was correct. So here's the splash page. Rip Stan Lee, editor. Jerry Conway, writer. Gene Colan, artist, with an assist by John Costa, letterer. So this one is... Gene Colan did the artwork on the entire run. I think only like 3 or 4 issues did somebody else actually ink him. So this is pure Gene Colan. And he wanted to do this. He lobbied for this. Jerry Conway is given the credits for the writer, but Stan Lee and Roy Thomas came up with the plot and everything, and Gene Colan wrote it. I drew it and then gave it pretty much finished to Gene Colan, and then he just put in his own words. So he didn't really write it. Jerry Collins rather. Was able to, Jerry Conway, geez, what's wrong with my mouth, was able to do issue number 2. And it went in a different direction. Let me just close this and I'll talk about this for a second. This comic suffered from a lack of direction. The first issue, like I said, it was Roy Thomas and Stan Lee. They had a concept for it. Then Jerry Conway, he went in a different direction. He wanted to do it like the British Hammer films. And then he was quickly replaced by whatchamacallit, Archie Goodwin. And Archie Goodwin, if you remember, he got his debut on the Warren horror comics, and he did a more classic Universal Monsters approach. And we're talking like we're 5-6 issues in, and already the direction changed 3 times. And then Marv Wolfman took over, and Marv Wolfman said he was just floundering. He didn't know what to do. And then he said around issue 12, all of a sudden, it got clear what direction to take the comic. And the rest is history. Marv Wolf and Gene, I almost said Gene Hackman, Gene Colan did the rest of the comic. But for the first year, literally the first year, this comic was floundering with 3 or 4 different editorial directions in creative directions in a year. And that happened a lot. That happened with the Hulk. That happened with Ghost Rider. You know, it sometimes, you know, like that comic The Cat, it happened every issue and it was only 4 issues. But let's talk about this comic now. Look at that beautiful splash page. So lot of dialogue, lot of I'm not gonna I don't particularly care about this particular issue. I was just kind of talking about the comic in itself. And Dracula became a main foe. He fought the X-Men. Storm was turned into a vampire briefly. There was a vampire. Chris Claremont, the writer of the X-Men, the one that, you know, when you're talking about the X-Men and all the stuff you remember, you're talking about Chris Claremont's X-Men. he would get into, he got into witchcraft for a while, and everybody was a witch. Then he got into vampires, and everybody was a vampire. Then he got into the strange Rom thing, and everybody was fighting dire wraiths. So there you go. But so Dracula wasn't just in his own little corner. He interacted. He met Spider-Man, and he fought the X-Men. Who else? He fought a whole bunch of people, but he was a main Marvel villain for a while. So here we have Frank Drake. Frank Drake finds out that he is inheriting Dracula's castle. Why? Because he's Dracula's only surviving relative. And so he's like, yeah, my great whatever relative, he was just a myth. And this is the girl, the object of desire. That Frank takes his buddy with him, and they're both, this is Frank's girlfriend, and his buddy keeps hitting on the girlfriend, and they're going back and forth, and animosity strikes. So I like the love triangle, but I gotta say, like, one of the guys is being a creep because she's already with one of the guys, and then the friend is hitting on. So Frank takes his last $10 and he makes it to Dracula's castle. Here, nobody will drive him there. This guy Otto's like, I'll take you there. Everybody's being suspicious. There hasn't been a vampire sighting in a long time, and I don't even believe in them. It's all superstitious nonsense. So there you go. Gene Colan's artwork gets a lot better than this. So now he's reading diaries from that he finds in the castle. This is from Hannibal King and what, I forget, Van Helsing. I couldn't remember the name, Van Helsing. About all these people that fought Dracula and whatever. They leave the diaries in the castle. Here they are, and you see the voice boxes, the letter boxes, or the panels rather. That just indicates it's flashback. So here we are. It's a nice straight delineated line. That means we're in the present. So lightning. Of course, whenever you go to Dracula's castle, it's lightning. So just look at the Gothic architecture. It's all spooky. I really do like the shadowing, and bats. Of course, where would you be without bats in Dracula's castle? And here she is, she's looking for her room. She's all freaked out, and she was at her mirror. Yeah. When he gave me the silver compact, as though he's given me all. Now he's changed. Oh yeah. So a little foreshadowing. She's like, Frank is different now. When he gave me the silver compact, that she takes it out to show everybody, he was different. Bad foreshadowing. Silver, and so Frank Drake. I keep saying Francis Drake, like the explorer. Frank, he steps on rotten wood and falls, and rather than breaks his ankle like a normal human, he finds this hidden stairway, and he goes down it, and what does he find? Count Dracula. Well, what's that? Fantastic! It's the old boy's crypt. Keep in mind, like the book Dracula and Bram Stoker, they even reference him. So this isn't like a universe where people haven't heard of Dracula and Bram Stoker. He's like, I'm going to turn this place into a tourist attraction. I'll dress up like a vampire, and they've seen the Bela Lugosi movies, and I think that was smart of Gene Colan to base the look on somebody who didn't play Dracula at the time, so they can't just tie it to the movies or whatever. So I'm going to dress up like Dracula, and I'll host everybody, and I'll make a ton of money. That's what he's thinking of. He's thinking of the money because he's a gambler, and he's broke. And he spent all those money. He also inherited like $1 million when he got the castle, but he squandered the $1 million. But how do you squander a castle? So now he's, taking his last $10, going there and checking it out with the idea of turning it into a tourist trap. So here he is. He finds there's the stake through that skeleton. Wow, a real. Look at that. He's... So, this to me is the only weird thing. He pulls out the stake because he wants to murder his friend for hitting on his girlfriend. So he takes it out. Maybe he's being influenced by Dracula. Yeah, you know what? Whatever. Maybe he's being influenced. And when he takes the stake out, Dracula lives again. What's that? What's that? No! Look at... So, yeah. So, there you go. There's like... Jack Palance looking Dracula, and he's using his hypnotic effect on it, and then he pulls out a gun and shoots. And if my recollection is correct, and it's been years since I read this, Dracula was taken by surprise because I don't think he had seen like a pistol. You know, the last time he was awoken, this kind of technology hasn't been invented yet. So he just like lashes out, and Dracula gets a little stuff. Plus, he just woke up. Let's give him, he didn't have his cup of coffee yet, his blood coffee. So now he's looking around, seeing what's going on, and he goes, "Yeah, I hear voices in my castle, and one of them is a woman." So Dracula gets a little batty for women. He gets cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and he turns into a bat, and he's spying on them. And then look at this transformation. I like the veins. Look, that's kind of freaky. And he goes, "Someone who is Dracula." And he's like, "That's Count Dracula." And there's something about his eyes. "Genie, don't try to stop me, Frank. I must go." Oh, that's Frank. The other guy is the wants to kill Frank to get the girlfriend. And he's like, he managed to hypnotize you with those damnable eyes of his, just like and he slaps her, because that's what you got to do. That's the only way to put some sense in a woman. And he knocks her out. They're vampires, and Lord help us if one of them's alive. We may not have a chance. So he goes, "You're a clever man, intruder. That silver compact betrays me. I cannot remain." So he's shining. It's a silver and a mirror. So I don't know if that's doubly bad or whatever, but Dracula is not so easily dispatched for long. And remember, Dracula is weak. He didn't feed yet. He's gone. The silver in his compact must have known there's no time. Clifton might be dead. So he's going to look for his buddy who is plotting to murder him. Dracula's, well, whatever. Just Dracula, look at that. And Dracula grabs the girl and just, what kind of body position is she in? That's kind of freaky. And, the barmaid, he goes to the barmaid. I got missed. So he finds some barmaid. The barmaid falls quickly, her knees giving her, as she faints, less conscious sight, the former creature called Dracula. Poor girl. Dead. It begins again. Look, can't you see the wounds? The marks of the vampire. So, of course, we're going to get the mob, whip the mob up into a frenzy. Here they are, getting the torches. Like every good Dracula movie, you need mobs and torches. The girl, the one the town seemed corrupt. She was bitter with petty evil. But this one, her skin is fresh, her soul untouched by hatred's claws. Her taste will be warm, a fitting repast for he who shall be her king. So he's planning on drinking her and turning her into a vampire. Dracula needs his brides. No! A crucifix. Hades take them. Who dared? So she's protected, unaware. So he comes out with a wooden stake. He goes, "I know how you can't stand mirrors. Cousin, you are a fool." So he recognizes, or he smells the blood relative. He goes, "You're a fool. Someday the curse shall visit you as well, and you, Herr Drake, shall live with death." And then throw the mirror at him. That's good. Dracula's like a little pissed, and nothing like a throat punch. For whoever strikes Dracula strikes death. And then look, so he's biting him, and she wakes up. At last, it seems we are alone. Frank! And the villagers going to set the place on fire. "There, my darling. Remove that hated bauble. Remove it." So he hypnotizes her, and she takes the cross and throws it out the window. Vampire blood. This always bothered me. I always wanted to know what was different about this penny. "We'll pay you $10,000 for this Lincoln penny." What's this? And this guy from, 18th century Prussia finds the crucifix. A crucifix fell from the windows. Perhaps we're too late. So they're no dummies. They don't know what's going on. And they're going to set the castle on fire. And Dracula's slaking his thirst on her. "My head's spinning. Dracula must have thought me dead. What's he doing? Genie!" So he picks up the mirror and he smashes Dracula in the face. And since this place is doomed to burn, and he leaves with the girl. And "I'm too late. She's dead. She's dead. Frankie, don't cry. I'm not dead. Don't you see I'm not? When you're bitten by a vampire, you don't die. You never die. Never." Laughing, she moves to her feet, and for the first time, Drake sees the looming bat, and he knows what is. So she becomes a vampire. He also becomes a vampire, but he becomes like a humane vampire. He refuses to drink. He refuses to kill. He has to drink blood. So he makes friends with like people in the morgue, and he drinks dead blood, and he goes to butchers and stuff like that. So, And later on in Doctor Strange, they figure out the Montesi formula. And the Montesi formula is this spell that could destroy all vampires on the earth. And Dracula's killed, Genie's killed. And since Francis never slaked his thirst on full humans, he is reverted back to humanity. And for some strange reason, Lilith, Dracula's daughter, turns into a normal human with no memory of her being a vampire. I don't know why. I guess because there was still potential in selling a comic book with Lilith, Dracula's daughter. But there you go. This was a fun run. I remember reading it, and I was like, yeah, this isn't too good. But because everything changed, like the cast of characters would change, and then once Marv Wolfman again he hit his stride, it became a good comic with continuity and backstory and plots and subplots. But unfortunately, the sales started to dwindle, and Stan Lee left, and then Roy Thomas took over, and then Roy Thomas left, and Jim Shooter took over. And for whatever reason, I always said that Jim Shooter was a tyrant when he ran Marvel, but I only got the product, so I saw some wonderful comics. I don't know the inside baseball, but Marv Wolfman and Jim Shooter didn't get along. They butted heads, so they had up to 72 drawn and ready to be published, and Jim Shooter said, nope, you canceled at 70. That's a nice number. 72 is a horrible number to end a comic. So they gave him a double-sized issue, and 14 issues had to be 14 pages had to be thrown out, and so they reconfigured the comic and finished the story. But if you go to Marv Wolfman's website, and there's a collected hardcover of Tomb of Dracula, you could see those extra 14 issues that would have been in the comic. So there you go. That's Tomb of Dracula by Marvel Comics. This was a good run. I really enjoyed it. Had the first appearance of Blade. The only thing that I didn't like is Dracula would get killed like every 5 or 6, 10 issues, and you knew he was just coming back. Like at one point they even scatter his ashes, and some of the ashes touch blood, and they configure and call the other ashes back, and he's, I don't know. There has to be some like finality and consequences in order for there to be drama. But other than that, that's Superman never dies either. So what do you want? All right, that's Tomb of Dracula. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to watch my videos. And please, I've been rewatching some of my old videos, and some people requested stuff. Request comics. That'll be fun. All right, see you around, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new video. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.